Hello everyone, welcome to another Teach to Code Java edition. So today I think we're just going to work on adding and possibly maybe subtracting fractions. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to go ahead and go to File, we'll do a new project, it'll be a Java application. We're just going to say fraction math, I guess we'll call it. Alright. Alright, so in fraction math we have our main method in our class. I'm going to fix my curly braces, erase this, comment. Then I'm going to go ahead and go right outside of the main method and I'm going to start a method myself. So the method I'm going to be choosing is actually going to return a string, so it might sound funny that we're working with, we're working with integers, but I want it to return a string. So anyways, let's go ahead and get to it. So we'll have public static, and this is going to be static because the class is within the main class itself, so in order for it to access it, it needs to be static. And then we'll just call this add fraction. Okay, we'll add our little curly braces here. So just some logic real quick before we start. This is where I'm going with this. So it'll be C over D. So these are the variables I'm going to use. Just like the math standard, when we look at the Common Core standards and whatnot, most of you probably aren't teachers and haven't seen it, but if you've ever seen the standard form of a fraction, right, it's pretty much A over B plus C over D. So anyways, let's go ahead and initialize our variables. For now, we'll just set everything to 0. We will change these values in a while. Let me go ahead and scroll down a little bit. So int C, equal to 0, int D equal to 0. And then we'll have two more, one for the numerator, so a place to actually store the numerator value after we add, and a place to store the denominator after we add. So everything's equal to 0 for now. That's everything we need in order to store all our values. So the first thing we're going to do is check if we have a common denominator. And to check if we have a common denominator, we need to check B and D, right? If they're equal to each other, if they're the same number, we're just going to simply go ahead and add A plus C to the numerator, right? And denominator can equal either B or D, so you could pick whichever variable there, but if they're already common denominator, we just need to print one of those out. So we'll go ahead and store that B or D value into denominator. Now, if they're not equal to each other else, right, we will have to do a little bit of math. It's nothing too tricky though if you really think about it. Numerator is equal to A times D because we will look for the common denominator, right? So if you think about it, the most easiest common denominator is always D times A and B times C, right? You usually have to simplify because you get bigger numbers. But anyways, yeah, I won't go into the theory of fractions too much. Alright, so that's going to give us our numerator. We'll times the left-hand side by the bottom right denominator, and we'll times the right top side, the right numerator, by the left side denominator, right? And now for the denominator, it's simply going to be B times D. Oops, need an equals there to initialize it. Okay. So those are our two outputs. Now it's angry at us because we have to return something, so let's go ahead and do our return statement. We said it's going to be of type string, so fraction, I guess we would just say answer, right? I don't know, fraction, addition. Then we'll go ahead and concatenate the numerator values, string dot value of. So remember, we will need the value of to return a type string. Then we need to put the little slash to print out a fraction. So this program won't divide if there's a divide there. It's going to simply print out a fraction, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that in a while. Alright, so everything's set up in the add fraction class. Now all we have to do is go ahead and do a printout. And we're going to type in the add fraction method into this. But what we're going to get when we run this is 0, right? So if you really think of the logic 0 over 0, and the reason why we're going to get 0 is because pretty much everything is 0. So let's go ahead and say 1/2 dividing 1/2. So let's see what happens when we do this. So we got 2 over 2. So do you see how this program won't simplify it to, whatchamacallit, 1, right? So it's not going to simplify for you in that sense. It's always going to print out a fraction for you. So now what if it was 1/3 plus 1/2? Alright, so we got 5/6, which makes sense because 2 times 1 is 2, right? 3 times 1 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then 2 times 3 is 6, so 5/6. So pretty much you could add whichever fraction you would like in this. So let's go ahead and make a subtract method. We can probably pretty much just borrow everything in this code, to be honest with you. So I'm literally copying the whole method. Make sure you have the curly brace from the class. Don't go beneath it. Make sure everything you paste is right between these two curly braces. And it's going to get mad at us because this is minus fraction. Let me change the little comment to minus, but all the logic is still the same, right? Now what does change is it becomes minus here, right, instead of adding. And this definitely becomes minus instead of adding. So now if we go ahead and print something I'm thinking is maybe we could even make these global variables. I don't know. It would be nice to have a scanner, but I don't feel like doing anything too complicated this week. So -1/6, and we could see why this is -1/6 real quick, right? So we're also doing 1/3 minus 1/2. So let's go ahead and think about this, right? So 2 times 1 will be 2. The 3 times the 1 will be 3. Well, 2 minus 3 is a -1, right? B times D is still 6, but you're going to get -1/6. So this will even do negative fractions for you guys. So if we wanted something positive, maybe we could pass 1/4, because 1/3 is bigger than 1/4, right? So now we get 1/12. So 4 times 1 is 4, right? 3 times 1 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1, sorry. And then 3 times 4 is going to be 12. So, oh, and we should probably change that to fraction subtraction, right? Seems kind of funny to say that we're adding it. Gives the user a bad answer, right? Bad logic, anyway. Alright. So that's how we can add and subtract a fraction. Let's go ahead and see what time we have. Well, since this video is so short so far, let's go ahead and keep going. Let's go ahead and multiply fractions. So, do I want to copy most of this stuff? I say yeah. Let's just go ahead and paste another method in here. So, multiply fraction, yes. Okay, so we'll pretty much need the same logic. We really don't care if there's common denominators, right? So all of this stuff can go away. We'll leave the return statement. To simply multiply a fraction, right, we go straight across. So num is going to be equal to A times C, and den will be equal to B times D. And And that's literally it when we're multiplying a fraction, right? It's a lot more simplistic than adding and subtracting them. So if we do 1/2 of 1/3, oh, well, we have to print it, huh? If we don't put the print statement in our main method, we're hosed. So system dot out dot println multiply fraction. Alright. So 1/6. 1/2 of a third is 1/6, right? Because you're halving the third into more pieces. But anyways. So the last thing we could work on is dividing. I think if we just copy the multiply fraction method here, it's going to be super useful because dividing fractions is pretty simple too, right? You reciprocate the second one, and that's about it, right? So if you think about it, A over B dividing C over D is actually equal to A over B times D over C. So you reciprocate the second fraction, right? And you multiply straight across. So in theory, this would become A times D. This would become B times C. Oh, and let's change this fraction. I don't know, I'm just going to say product for this one. The product is the multiplication of something, right? And then fraction, quotient, if I could even spell this anymore, quotient. Okay. Okay, so I think we're happy with this. So let's go ahead and put our print statement into the main method. Divide fraction. Okay. So now we got 2/3 instead of 1/6. So let's go ahead and see if we could think of the logic behind this. So if we flip this, we end up with 2 over 1, right? So if we think about it, A is 1, D is 2, so 1 times 2 is 2. And now, if we have the flipped, right, the reciprocal here, we're going to do 3 times 1, which is 3, so 2/3. So, pretty simple video this morning. Not looking to do anything too hard. If we wanted to check if our fraction is simplified, you guys can watch the video I have on simplifying fractions. You would pretty much copy and paste that method into here. Paste it as a new method, right? And then you would pass that method in right here. You would do the method call. You would check your num and den, see if they are simplifiable, if they can simplify, and then you would return the string. So pretty basic stuff, you guys. If you want me to add the simplify to this, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I could definitely add that for you guys. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.